What's going on, guys? Today we have a fragrance from the house of Jovoy, and this has been a real treat. I hear this name pop up not as often as psychedelic, but it's a popular one. So strap up. Let's go for a ride.
Okay, doing it for two. I watch that head move side to side as I let this in into the room. You are on time, let's connect minds. Trying to get into a mood. We gon' be fine. Close up the blinds, no rush. Finish the food.
All right. Welcome to the Scent Bubble. I am your host for the evening. From the house of Jovoy, we have 21 Conduit Street. I've heard about Remember Me quite a bit and Psychedelic. This one gets mentioned. It's within the top three, so people, I think, who are familiar with this house somewhat have heard of it. Now, this is a unisex fragrance, and I'm excited to give it an initial impressions. Let's see if there's a quick story before I load up this test strip. 3.9 out of 5. So it's close to the 4 out of 5 marker out of only 480 votes, though. So not a lot of people have put their nose to this. It revisits a great classic of English perfumery while giving it a new, intriguing, decidedly modern twist. Whether the memory conjures dried flowers from Norfolk, tucked into ornate sachets, or the fragrance of a bottle of authentic British eau de cologne, lavender is to English perfumery what scones are to tea time. Okay, interesting. I don't know much about English perfumery, but I guess it has something to do with lavender, and we're going to get an initial. Oh my gosh, that smells really good in the air. It smelled a lot like Lalique Equus in the air, but a little bit denser, a little bit richer. Oh man. Wow. Is there amber in this? No. Wow. Okay, so what I can tell you about this fragrance is Lalique Equus is a great fragrance. This feels very, very, and I mean very close to Lalique Equus. So much so, I'm going to go grab it because, wow, if that's basically a clone, that would be incredible. And the reason I say that is because it has this ambery grapefruit accord, and the grapefruit accord is quite complex. Now, in Equus, it's due to vetiver, but I don't see vetiver here as a note. So, by the way, Lalique Equus, $25, guys. I've been telling you it's a hit. Wow. Okay, so Equus is even fresher than 21 Conduit Street. However, the difference between the two is very subtle. Only by about 5 or 10%, you get this ambery grapefruit accord that feels like 80% of the fragrance. 21 Conduit Street has a little bit more depth from what feels like greenery and like just the tiniest note of kind of almost a marijuana cannabis green note. Not cannabis, though. Get that out of your head. It just has this funked chronic type of twang on the end of the grapefruit, and then it feels a touch sweeter. Whereas this is a little bit more ambery into the grapefruit, woodsy. But man, so close. Oh my gosh. Before we even get to the end, I'm just going to say straight up, like if you have Lalique Equus, you don't need this. If you have, if you wanted to get Conduit Street and you don't have Equus, get it because it's a $25 alternative. Again, only about 10% of subtle nuance. The nuance is beautiful, though. Is it worth the money? Absolutely. I give this like a, I almost said 8. I do give it an 8. I do give it an 8. Just in terms of, and it's weird because in my heart, if I was judging Equus, I would call it maybe even a 9. But that's just because it's such a unique profile and it's so simple. But I feel like for the caliber that Jovoy's coming with in terms of their complexity and their scents and stuff, this is one of the most simpler ones, but it is a great smell. Like I said, I love Equus. I have half a bottle gone of Equus in less than a year. It's ambery, it's grapefruity, it's vetivery, it's do I get much of the lavender? No, not as much. But maybe to a trained nose, they do. Let's go ahead and switch windows here. Top notes, grapefruit, rhubarb. Okay, that's what's giving that kind of weird sweet greenness. Lavender, bergamot, balsam fir. I think that's a resin. Oh, woods and moss. Amaretto. So maybe that's where the sweetness is coming from. Fantasy note of bitter almond, though I got to be honest, I don't smell much of that, but it says here it's kind of got like it's the actual liqueur is made from apricot pits. So that's like the nut that's in an apricot, which have an almondy nuance, but I don't really get much almond. But if you said apricot, I would guess a little bit of that. Ambroxan wood and tonka bean. So a very similar structure with the bergamot and grapefruit and the woodsy notes. Don't get much tonka bean. Again, this is straight up grapefruit, fir, balsam, rhubarb, woods, maybe a little brush of lavender. There is a kind of like 10% powder brush on top of this. Good fragrance, good fragrance. Okay, so this can be pretty consolidated here. Let me switch out. Very close to Equus. I would call Equus like a 90% clone of this. Decent fragrance. I give it an 8. The only reason I don't give it a 9 is because it's not signature. This is like an everyday wear, any season, any reason. It's invigorating, but it does have the sophistication there, so it's not just like a fruity grapefruit freshie. It has a little bit of fougere-ness to the backbone of it. Feels very traditional. I think the English perfumery might have something to do with that. Any age, any season, any reason. It says this is a unisex fragrance, but to be quite honest, a woman could definitely rock this, but I feel like it has masculine touches. You'd have to be a pretty confident, bold woman to rock something like this because there's not a lot of sweetness and there's not a lot of like angelicness to it. Kind of the two categories I classify most female scents as having as far as like true feminine scents. So yeah, it is. I think it's a masculine fragrance, but I could see how a certain woman with a certain vibe could rock this, you know, hoop earrings, red lipstick, Taylor Swift kind of look, you know. Any season, any reason, occasions, casual and upscale casual. Yeah, this just takes me back to like the mid to late 1900s, like maybe 70s to 90s. Real clean cut guy, jeans in a bomber jacket, clean cut, clean shaven. He's classy, sophisticated. He comes home and he's got his 2 children, maybe a 4-year-old boy, a 5-6-year-old girl. They come up and, you know, daddy. And he's just like the classy gentleman, but he's modern for that time. You know, he's just a cool dude with good taste. That amaretto note, I can get a little bit of that for sure. It does have a, yeah, I can get some bitter almond, but it's not almond like you would traditionally get used to smelling it. Like it's not champagne-y. It's not like chocolatey or like in the gourmand realm. It's certainly like that apricot pit is like a good description. Like it's like you pulled the pit out of the apricot, still got some juices on it. You soak that. It's got a kind of nutty base, but mostly just apricot juices. It's a cool fragrance. 8 out of 10 though. It's not the most signature thing in the world. It's an everyday upscale casual wear. You could probably make a case for semi-formal. Any season, any reason. Sprays on this. Let's see what the longevity score was. Not a lot of people have put their nose to this. They say it's fairly long lasting, moderate sillage and solid longevity. I don't think you're going to get more than about 5 strong hours out of a fragrance like this. I'm calling it 6 minimum. But good fragrance. The only thing I want to end on is Lalique Equus. This makes me realize why I love Equus. It's just so simple, but it has a degree of complexity to it, which makes it super versatile, yet super masculine. Equus you can find online, really nice. I think this fragrance, in the cheapest I've seen it, if you're not going Mercari or something like that, you're going more like, olfactory or something. I think I've seen it as low as like $120 for 100 ml, like $120. But I think retail, it goes all the way up to 200 as far as price. So you'll probably see it between that 120 to 200 price point. Awesome fragrance though, solid 8 out of 10. Like it's well above average, good balance, really nice. If you want something that is like an upscale Swiss Army everyday wear, but it's got masculine touches, but as a young guy, it still will only add a couple of chest hairs onto you. It's not going to make you grow up a whole decade. But for men over 30, it's invigorating, makes you feel not youthful, just younger than you are by a bit, or just modern and hip. Really great fragrance. Sprays on this, I would go 6 to 8 minimum, I think. I might even say 6 to 10 since I live in the heat. But really great fragrance. Again, this is from the house of Jovoy, and this is 21 Conduit Street. Solid 8 out of 10. Like, comment, and subscribe. More importantly, turn on that notification bell so you can stay in tune. I'll drop 2 to 4 videos per day, and the channel's growing fast. So if you're into fragrance content of all kinds, all price points, I'm just knee deep in fragrances. I think I'm at I've got like a new batch of like 200 decants that I still need to review, and like 60 bottles that I still need to review. I carry about 200-300 bottles. I carry about 200-300 decants outside of what I'm behind on. So we do a lot of fragrance stuff over here, and we try to make it entertaining, informative, and just helpful to your journey. I put a camera to my journey so that it helps yours. So with that being said, I hope you guys have a blessed week, and this is the Scent Bubble signing out.